Why do so many travelers get Vietnam's cheapest months completely wrong? Every year, people book what they think is the low season, only to show up and find prices spiking, crowds returning, or flights mysteriously more expensive. And the surprising part? It's not because Vietnam changed. It's because the real budget window is hidden behind regional weather shifts, sudden demand drops, and market quirks that most guides never even mention. Most articles online oversimplify it. Go in the rainy season. Avoid the holidays. But the truth is far more layered. The North, Central Coast, and the Deep South follow three different rhythms, and when you align them just right, the savings can be massive, sometimes cutting your trip cost in half. Yet almost nobody talks about the real patterns behind those price drops. Today we're pulling back the curtain. If you've ever wondered when Vietnam is at its absolute lowest prices, and why everyone keeps guessing wrong, this is where the real story begins. Most travelers think Vietnam's cheapest months are fixed, like a simple rule you can memorize. But the reality is shaped by forces that move quietly beneath the surface. Domestic tourism waves rise and fall based on school calendars, meaning prices can spike the moment families get a break, even if the weather hasn't changed. Airlines adjust their fares using algorithms that monitor demand by the hour, so a single surge in searches can push ticket prices upward. And then there's the monsoon pattern, which doesn't hit the entire country at once. Instead, it sweeps across Vietnam in layers, shifting south to north and back again, creating pockets of low demand that only experienced travelers notice. This is why the cheapest months aren't the same in Hanoi as they are in Da Nang or Ho Chi Minh City. Each region moves to its own rhythm, and if you don't understand that rhythm, you'll choose the wrong month every time. So when exactly are the cheapest months? Most guides throw out a generic range, but the truth isn't that simple, and that's where most people get misled. To understand the real bargain windows, you have to break Vietnam into three different worlds. Northern Vietnam follows a rhythm that surprises most travelers. The real bargain window arrives in early spring, just after the winter chill fades, but before the festivals and domestic crowds return. Another price drop hits in late autumn, when the air cools again and travelers shift their focus to warmer destinations. These months sit quietly between major tourism waves, creating a perfect gap where demand falls and prices follow. Many people avoid these periods because the weather isn't perfectly predictable. Light mist in March, a cool breeze in November, the occasional cloudy day. But that hesitation is exactly why the region becomes so affordable. Flights dip, hotels open more rooms, and even popular spots like Ha Giang, Sapa, and Ninh Binh feel calmer than usual. What you actually get during these months is something travelers rarely expect. Clear mountain trails, peaceful lakes, and cities moving at a slower, more authentic pace. For budget travelers, it's the sweet spot: lower costs, better availability, and a chance to see the north without the constant flow of tour buses. But the moment you head south toward Da Nang and Hoi An, everything changes, because the center of the country plays by completely different rules. Central Vietnam moves to its own rhythm, and from September to February, the rains reshape everything. These months trigger one of the most dramatic price drops in the entire country. Why? Because the moment travelers hear rainy season, fear takes over. People imagine non-stop storms and washed-out itineraries, so they cancel, postpone, or choose Thailand instead. And with fewer bookings, hotels, boutique stays, and even luxury resorts quietly roll out deep, slow-season promotions. But here's the twist most travelers never learn. The rain here rarely ruins a trip. Does the rain actually ruin your experience? Not really. Most days follow the same beautiful pattern. Short, refreshing showers followed by glowing golden hour skies. And when it does rain longer, Hoi An becomes a cinematic dream, lantern lights reflecting on wet streets, cafes warm and buzzing, the ancient town wrapped in a cozy old-world charm. Hugh's Imperial Citadel feels more mystical, more atmospheric, and wonderfully crowd-free. For budget travelers, this season isn't a compromise, it's an opportunity. Prices fall, crowds thin, and culture takes center stage. But once you travel down to the deep south, the rules flip again, because that's where the most unpredictable deals appear. Southern Vietnam hides one of the country's best-kept budget secrets, the May to October window. Yeah, it's the rainy season, but not the kind that ruins your trip. The showers here are warm, short, and predictable, usually rolling in during the late afternoon before clearing into bright, breezy evenings. Still, for foreign travelers, anything labeled rainy season just instantly falls off the radar, which keeps crowds low and prices surprisingly soft. This gap in demand creates a silent advantage. Hotels in Ho Chi Minh City open more discounted rooms, Phu Quoc resorts quietly lower weekday rates to keep occupancy steady, and even popular attractions drop their prices to boost midweek visits. For travelers, this translates to real savings, usually around 20 to 40% off compared to peak season pricing, all without sacrificing the experience. And the landscapes during this time? Absolutely lush. The Mekong Delta becomes a watercolor of floating markets and green waterways. The lot turns misty and romantic. Phu Quoc's waterfalls roar back to life, making the island feel wilder and more alive. This is the season that flies under the radar. Warm, vibrant, and far more affordable than most visitors ever realize. And now that we've explored when prices fall, the real question becomes, how do you catch the cheapest flights into Vietnam in the first place? Flight prices to Vietnam don't drop randomly. They follow a quiet global rhythm. After major holidays, when travelers are burned out, budgets are tight, and demand collapses, airlines enter what you could call a post-holiday slump. This is when their algorithms begin correcting themselves, lowering fares to fill empty seats. March to April and September to October often fall right into these recalibration zones. Not because Vietnam is cheap, but because worldwide travel interest briefly flatlines. Airlines also experiment during these calmer months, subtly testing off-peak demand. They release pockets of discounted fares, watch how quickly people book them, then adjust the next batch of prices accordingly. It's part science, part guesswork, and part psychological game. To the average traveler, these dips look like sudden flash sales. But behind the scenes, it's often a response to slow searches, quiet booking trends, and routes that need a nudge. And this is why the cheapest windows feel so consistent year after year, even if no guidebook ever explains the mechanics. When fewer people are looking, the system lowers the price. If you want to check current flight deals to Vietnam, I've added the best fare links below. They might help you save even more depending on your travel month. But here's the catch. Even if you land in the cheapest month of the year, one wrong move can still make your Vietnam trip unexpectedly expensive. Even during Vietnam's cheapest months, there are quiet price traps that catch travelers off guard. The biggest spikes come from national holidays, April 30th, May 1st, and September 2nd. These dates trigger massive domestic travel waves, sending hotel prices soaring overnight. A traveler expecting low-season rates can walk into a city and find every room booked, every flight inflated, every bus sold out. Then there are weather-driven surges. After a long stretch of rain, the first clear weekend can unleash huge last-minute demand. Locals rush to beaches, families take short breaks, and prices jump for 48 hours before dropping again. It's unpredictable but incredibly common. Festivals add another layer of chaos. Even rumors of a cultural event, lantern nights in Hoi An, harvest festivals in the north, can cause hotels to quietly raise rates, anticipating a crowd that may or may not arrive. And yeah, this happens even in so-called off-peak months. So here's the subtle question travelers should be asking. Is off-peak always safe from high prices? The answer is no. Off-peak is cheaper most of the time, but it's still vulnerable to demand spikes triggered by weather, holidays, and cultural buzz. But once you learn to dodge these traps, the savings get serious. Traveling during Vietnam's cheapest months isn't just about shaving a few dollars off your trip. It can completely reshape what your budget can buy. On average, flights drop noticeably during the off-peak windows because airlines lower fares to fill quieter routes. Hotels follow the same pattern, often cutting rates by 20 to 40%, especially in destinations like Hoi An, Sapa, or Phu Quoc. Tours, day trips, and even transport services quietly join the trend, offering unadvertised discounts when demand thins out. The travelers who save the most are the flexible ones, the people who can shift their dates by a few days, travel midweek, or choose a less obvious destination when the timing is right. Vietnam rewards this kind of movement. Prices in the north fall for different reasons than in the south, while the center has its own rhythm tied to the rain. Each region plays by its own rules, but all of them offer windows when everything becomes noticeably more affordable. And here comes the natural question. Why bother traveling off-peak at all? Because it's not just about the money. Off-peak gives you quieter streets, richer culture, deeper conversations, and experiences that aren't drowned out by crowds. But cheap travel isn't only about timing. You don't need a meteorology degree to understand Vietnam's weather, just the basics that actually matter when planning a trip. In the north, early spring brings crisp mornings and soft sunlight, while late autumn arrives with cool breezes and golden afternoons. These are the moments when Hanoi's lakes feel calm, and Sapa's trails open up with clear mountain views. Central Vietnam works differently. Warm showers roll in and out, turning Hoi An's lantern-lit streets into reflective, dreamy scenes. The ancient citadels in Hue feel almost cinematic in the mist, and the crowds thin enough to let you breathe. It's a softer, slower rhythm that most travelers don't expect. Farther south, the rains come in short tropical bursts. Powerful, refreshing, and done before you finish a cup of iced coffee. The air turns clean, the trees glow neon green, and places like the Mekong Delta feel more alive than ever. So is the weather safe? Absolutely. You'll see the occasional storm, especially along the central coast, but travelers aren't wading through chaos, just adjusting their plans the same way they would anywhere with seasonal rain. And here's where most travelers overspend without realizing it. Timing your spending in Vietnam is almost an art, and the smartest travelers know how to play the rhythm. Hotels, for example, dip to their lowest rates right between domestic travel peaks, after summer families head home and before holiday crowds return. That's when you'll see surprising deals in places like Da Nang or Nha Trang, sometimes so good that travelers whisper about them becoming new discount hotspots. Food is another secret weapon. Eating local isn't just cheaper, it's better. A steaming bowl of bun cha or a fresh banh mi from a street stall costs a fraction of a sit-down restaurant meal, and the flavors hit harder. Transport stays budget-friendly too. Long-distance buses and trains glide across the country for the price of a cafe lunch, while motorbike rentals let you explore hidden spots without paying for taxis or tours. And when bargaining in markets, the key is warm politeness. Smile, ask kindly, and you'll often land a great deal without the awkwardness. These small choices add up quickly, letting your budget stretch further than you expect. But the true magic of low-season travel isn't the price. Traveling in Vietnam during the low season opens a side of the country that peak season visitors rarely experience. With fewer tourists around, everyday moments become deeper and more personal. Shop owners have time to chat. Cafe baristas remember your order, and locals in small towns often share stories that go far beyond the surface. It feels less like a trip and more like a genuine connection. The cultural moments also become richer. Ancient temples feel quieter, lantern-lit streets glow softly without crowds pressing in, and traditional markets move at a relaxed rhythm that invites you to linger instead of rushing through. Even the scenery transforms. Rice terraces shimmer at their greenest, rivers run clear after the rains, and the countryside feels alive with fresh color. So what makes the off-peak experience truly special? It's the mix of peace, authenticity, and unexpected beauty. You see Vietnam in its natural state, unhurried, welcoming, and deeply human. And once you see all this, in the end, the cheapest time to travel to Vietnam isn't just a trick for saving money, it's an invitation to see the country the way locals know it. When the crowds fade and the noise settles, Vietnam reveals its true rhythm. You notice the warmth in everyday conversations, the colors in the landscape after a light rain, and the stillness of a temple courtyard at dusk. It's during these quiet seasons that the country shines brightest, not because everything is perfect, but because everything feels real. Travel slowly, listen closely, and let the quieter months reshape the way you experience this place. Vietnam rewards the people who take their time. And if you're planning your trip already, I also left helpful links below for trusted Vietnam tours and transportation, only if you need them. And if this journey opened your curiosity, the next video dives even deeper into hidden travel windows that most visitors overlook, exploring the moments that turn a simple trip into something unforgettable.